Hey, what's going on, y'all? Coming to y'all from my YouTube channel, True Greatness. Thank you for those who have subscribed already. Looking forward to those who will subscribe. Thank you for those who have watched my videos that aren't subscribers. I just thank you for the views in any one of those categories that you fit in. Definitely subscribe, view, comment, share this video, check out my other videos, share those as well. You know, on the things I talk about, you know, what are some of those things and how you feel about them? You know, whether I'm talking about inspirational stuff, sports related stuff, movie reviews. Haven't done a music one in a while, but still technically, when I do one again. If I do a gaming review again, all those type of things that I talk about, just, you know, definitely comment on how you feel about them in those different topics that I talk about, and then those subtopics within them. So, wanted to talk about today foundation and why it's important to me and what I think about that. First and foremost, foundation to me is the starter of any person's life. It's the beginning. It's where everything initiates from. What people grow up on, you know, what people are taught on, you know, all of those things are a part of a person's foundation. Now, what they do with that foundation is totally up to the person. Whether they hold on to that foundation, whether they disregard that foundation, whether they bring other things in with that foundation. First and foremost, any foundation that has hate needs to be getting rid of, period. And that's not a foundation somebody should follow if it has hate in it. That's first and foremost. But to me, foundation is so important because it's my guide. It's how I, you know, make, it's part of the decisions that I make in life. Like, my foundation is my belief in God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And my parents brought me up in that, and going to church, and, you know, reading the Word, and it never felt forced. It always felt something that was interesting. Yeah, was there times that I was bored? Yeah, I was, you know, all kids get bored at some point, you know, at some times. But overall, it was always something that, in the end, I enjoyed to come, you know, how, when done in the purity of God, in a way that He provides the principles of, it can bring people together. I'm not talking about how sometimes man can mess things up and screw things up and take it where it's not supposed to be. But in the purity of God's principles, the unity. So it's been always something that's in my life. It's been always something that when I've been in times of trying to figure things out, times of getting it wrong, you know, within life, figuring out what that path is what I lean on. You know, is what I go to. The principles of God, the teachings of God, the life lessons, and that, as I like to call, GPS. And I think whatever somebody's foundation is, and everyone has different foundations. Some foundations are similar but might have slight differences. I think it's always something somebody either consciously or subconsciously goes back to or pulls from. You know, we always should be growing. We always should be desiring and making the effort to be better today than we were yesterday. You know, that should always be the goal and the concept, that every day want to be a better person. because that's just a good thing to constantly aspire to, excuse me. And I think that's where foundation comes in. Foundation is that piece that says, all right, I'm thinking about doing this. Trying to figure out what my life direction is, or where I'm trying to go. What is that piece that helps guide that decision? Now, like I said, there's going to be, as people grow, things that's going to be added on to it. There's going to be things that might be done a little differently. But that foundation, that core that core person comes from the foundation that people were brought up in. That, when someone can say something like, the core me is who I am, to me that's foundation. That's the foundation that was taught. That's the foundation that was seen. Sometimes teaching is what people see. Bible says, faith and deeds. You can't have one without the other. There's action. Bible talks about love is action. Love is action. It's not just merely in words. Action and the truth, to be specific. That where it says that love is. So again, it goes to show that it's not just saying stuff, but it's actually living that out. So that's why it's so important, and people have to be so careful what foundation they are saying, what foundation they're showing just anybody around them, especially referring to kids, whether that's if it's their children, niece, nephews, grandchildren, grandchild, any of those types of caregiver, it's real. Foundation is real. Foundation is what people start from. And that's why I said any foundation that has hate should be erased. That's not a foundation to follow. That's not a foundation to stay with. If anything, that's a foundation that you want to change. And anyone that was brought up around that foundation to try to help them to understand why that's not a good foundation to have, or stay with. If hate's in it, that's not good, and that should not stand. But in all of it, that's why foundation is important, because that is where everything begins. That's where everything comes from. Now, again, as we get older, sometimes do we experience different things in life that makes us add to the foundation, or bring some things in it that wasn't there before. Yeah, there's no question. And that can be a good thing. Because just like we're not to get caught up in tradition, sometimes it's okay to tweak the foundation. Because sometimes the foundation needs to be tweaked. But we initially, as we are starting in life, get it from somewhere. And that's why foundation is so important to me, because it's so important what is being invested and put in that person. And then, like I said, later on in life, that is something that, if it's a good foundation, and like I said, everybody's foundation, everybody's good foundation. Because like I said, if it has hate in the foundation, that's not good foundation. But There's various good foundations that, can be different from others. And that's fine. So if it's a good foundation, that's what people tend to lean on. So that's what I said. That's why I think foundation is huge. That's why I think foundation is so important, and that's why I think people have to be careful what foundation they influence people with, because everyone has influence. It's what we do with that matters. I read a quote. Well, it was a while ago now. It was several months ago. It was in reference to somewhere along the lines are the rich are only rich because you buy their product or something along those lines. Basically, the only way somebody's making money is if you buy their stuff, which goes to show you, as a buyer, you have power. So, just as anything else, everyone has influence. It's what we do with that influence that matters. And again, foundation is such a huge part of that influence. Again, this is just what I was thinking of, just kind of going back and forth in my head. But foundation plays a big role. Big role in people's lives. Most of the time. That's like I said, some people, you get their foundation and they go completely away from it. But most times, foundation is such a driving force in the life that people live. And it tends to be a lot of times what's leaned on in times of crisis, in times of life decisions, in times of just trying to find out where a person wants to go in life. And those principles of a person's foundation, and in a lot of ways are part of and show part of how a person treats another person. And I say it again. That's why any foundation that says hate is okay, that's not okay. That's not okay. It's one thing about disagreeing with one another, and okay, people disagree. That's fine. But hate should never be there of another person. As God said, I hate the sin, not the person. And any foundation that says it's okay to hate people, that is not right, and that should be shut down. Now, again, I'm just saying internally, that should trigger somebody to be like, ooh, I don't want to be about that. That's what I mean by should be shut down. That should trigger, yeah, that's not the foundation that I want. And again, it's such an influence either way, good or bad. And like I said, it's my roadmap. How, personally. Because like I said, my foundation is in the Holy Trinity and God's principles and what it is to live this life in a way that God can say, well done. That's caring for others. That's taking care of, self. That's love. That's compassion. That's empathy. That's standing up for what's right. that's maintaining justice, doing what's right, fighting for justice, calling out what's wrong so that we can get it right. Not shaming, but calling it out so that we can get it right. It's a lot of other principles. Self-control, humbleness, kindness, goodness. And treating your neighbor as you want to treat yourself. Loving God with all my heart, soul, and mind. All those are part of my foundation. All those are part of what helps direct how I live. And there's more. But that's just to name some of them. And that's why I say foundation is something that can be leaned on. Foundation is something that can be a guide. And a foundation is something that is the start to the finish line. It's the getting off the blocks to the finish line. It's the beginning of molding and growing and teaching and the forming of part of that forming of who we are as a person. So I say foundation is such a key role in my life, and it's where and part of who I am as I am. But every day continuing to grow and want to grow as a person. And that's why I said I think foundation is so key. And foundation is so important because it's a lot of who we are. And I think it's something that has to be respected or should be respected because it, in a lot of ways, is a huge part of a person's life, their foundation. So, again, just my thoughts. What do you think about foundation? How would you describe foundation? Do you think it's something that's important? Do you think it's something that's overrated? How do you feel about it? So definitely subscribe, view, comment. Let me know what you think. I'm really would look forward to seeing the comments on how would you just describe foundation to you, or what are the keys of foundation in your life, or do you feel foundation is even important? So yeah, definitely comment. I mean, I like anytime people comment on my videos, but I really would like to hear or see, what y'all think. What y'all think. So again, this is coming to y'all from my YouTube channel, True Greatness. Y'all have a good one, and definitely share this video, subscribe, and talk to y'all again. Peace.